No. So appear here, and we are live. Live and ready to rock and roll. And that's telling me that we're good to go on that little platform there. And I suppose we'll get this game started, big fella. It's a bit later than usual.
That's okay. We had stuff to do.
I had stuff to do. I've always got stuff to do, yeah. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, didn't have Spin Doctors Thursday night, 30 minutes later than usual, but we're here, and so are you.
A bit late than never now. My name's Anthony Irvine. I'm a councillor on Temora Shire Council, but none of the views I express here are those of Temora Shire Council. They're mine and mine alone. Would you believe it? I'm a candidate in the upcoming New South Wales state election as well. So there's all these other things that I do. I wear a lot of different hats on my grey head, and I wear them happily. But don't get boxed into the whole idea that I'm just on here banging a council drum, although I will talk about council matters at times just because they're a community thing.
Well, they're a community thing, and they're a big part of what's going on. And to be fair, they were a fair inspiration for this specific program, I guess. It
appeared to be that the powers to be, or the Temora Mafia, tended to interfere and were pretty adamant that they didn't want Dina Nerve in their form at the time to actually be talking to the community about community matters.
It was a very interesting letter when I got a letter that said you're not allowed to talk about community matters on community radio, and you're not allowed to interview a duly elected local councillor. Seemed very unusual to me. Not surprising, but certainly unusual.
Yeah, it was certainly something you could expect from some sort of a despotic Middle Eastern regime or.
Kablooey.
There seems to be a law that operates in the world, and if you've got the biggest gun, you can do whatever you want.
That seems to be the case, unfortunately. In certain arenas like this arena, their biggest gun was called the Temora Independent and Temora FM radio, and my biggest gun was the whole fucking internet. Goodness gracious me.
Anyway, and your name is?
And I'm Dean McRae, and I'm not a member of council. I'm not beholden to anybody particularly other than the people I'm.
Are you running for the New South Wales state elections?
No, not at this stage.
So you're not a political candidate?
Look, I've got possibly a Riverina seat in mind for the federal election.
You're a political candidate, potentially.
Look, there's a certain amount, and I've got nothing to hide. I'll say it like it is, as always. I have no particular desire to be elected to anything, but there's a couple of things in this country. One, if you are a political candidate, our constitution actually protects you a little bit more as from a free speech perspective than if you don't, because as much as many of us believe that we have the similar rights to freedom of speech and freedom of expression in Australia as our American cousins do, we don't. And our government over the last few years has been desperately trying to strip freedom of speech capabilities from everyday Aussies at a pace that's terrifying.
There's a document that we quote here often on the show, and it's the free speech for
local councils, and that's one that you must sort of somewhat refer to. I, on the other hand, absolutely answerable to no one in that context. So, in that context, well, if they don't like what I have to say, they can F right off. Wasn't that nice? I said F right off instead of fuck right off. Look at me go. Political correctness at its finest. But no, so look, if I am going to run at this stage, I'll be most likely to have a crack at taking Mr. McCormack's job, just because, one, I think it'd be funny if I fell over and won that seat. Two, look, I got no doubt I'd do a sort of a ruthlessly efficient job in there. There'd be no doubt about it. But it would probably not be the ruthlessly efficient job that our political class in this country are looking forward to, because I'd be going in there and absolutely shredding the joint at every opportunity. As far as I'm concerned, we are sort of overruled by people who are so corrupted, so self-indulgent, and have absolutely done their level best to destroy this potentially one of the best countries in the world, and they seem to do it with a joyous glee while robbing, raping and pillaging us at every opportunity.
It seems to be, though, that there's always an ulterior motive, and I think the payoff for them is if they do the bidding of their global corporate masters, they're rewarded in heaven.
Yes, with 78 virgins. No, sorry. $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year a paycheck from either
300 or 400 or 500
from big wind farms, big solar farms, big fucking petrol companies. It doesn't matter which ones.
Gas companies.
Yeah, the Chinese military payroll to be on the Port of Darwin board, whatever it is.
It all depends. If it's Chinese developers, it could be anything.
Look, it could be absolutely anything. The bottom line is if you kiss enough.
I think the main thing to understand is that the for sale sign is out at every level of government in Australia.
Yeah, and if you kiss enough ass and destroy enough
Australian pesos to grease their palms, they will do your bidding at a moment's notice. With levels of efficiency hitherto unheard of in government circles.
It's the only thing they do efficiently is destroy the country that they're supposed to be building, protecting, and basically they're pretty close to the world's biggest dead shits. And as somebody who detests politicians and the entire political class, people go, why would you run as a candidate? Well, a couple of reasons. One, there is that little free speech protection in there that I will absolutely lean on if I need to. Two, I know that me being involved in the political space absolutely upsets, frustrates, annoys, to a degree scares the living piss out of our opponents.
It's got to have choice. So if people need that choice, they need to have the choice. They need to have the choice to vote for Michael as opposed to someone who will represent them.
But the other portion of it too is if you're just some schmo in the audience at, say, a candidates event, right? They'll shut you down really, really quickly and your credibility is easily dismissed. When you're up there as a candidate, no, we're having a debate. You and I are going to debate this topic. And once I've wiped the floor with you on said topic, the people can choose whether they want the photogenic ass kisser or the guy who kind of actually does far more homework than you realise.
Probably blank out all of the stuff that's effective and paying to
whoever's
paying the most money, because there's a bit of that goes on too.
Yes, without a doubt.
Now, one thing that has really caught my eye this week, and it's been something that's really close to my whole being and my upbringing and my belief systems, and it really has resonated deeply, was that, and even the way that this article is written is concerning.
All right, do tell.
Former Riverina gym teacher jailed for historical child sex offences. Now, this Riverina gym teacher also happened to be a lay teacher full-time at Temora St Michael's Regional High School in Wagga.
Right. Well, wood chipper, feet first.
No, but former Riverina gym teacher.
Yes, right.
Not former Riverina school teacher.
Yeah.
Gym teacher. Now, he was the PE teacher at St Mick's when I was there when I was a lad.
Oh, right, we're talking this. Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay, now let's read the story just so everyone catches up. Now, this is the ABC's version, okay? Now, this is off by Andrew Mangelsdorf, ABC Riverina, Child Sexual Abuse. Monday, 2nd of March, 2026 at 5 p.m. So it's current. In short, a former Riverina gym teacher has been jailed for sexually abusing students in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Victims of Christopher Charles Frost told the court they suffered ongoing trauma as a result of the abuse. What's next? ? Frost will be eligible for parole in 2027.
Drop him out the front of my place when he gets let out. That'll be fun.
Former Riverina gym teacher Christopher Charles Frost has been sentenced to 3 years and 2 months in jail for sexually abusing students in the late 1980s and early 1990s. The 78-year-old Albury resident was sentenced for 9 child sex offences against 4 victims under 16 years of age. The victims were studying at St Michael's Regional High School for Boys in Wagga Wagga or the Wagga Wagga School of Gymnastics at the time of the offences. And in some instances, I would say studying at both. They occurred over a 5-year period and involved touching the genitals of 3 students and the use of force and threats to deter them from running away or filing a complaint. In a statement read out in the Sydney District Court, one victim said, the abuse by Frost had a far-reaching and ongoing effect on his life. The impact of the abuse Chris Frost inflicted on me in my adolescence affected every part of my life, how I see myself, how I trust others and see the world, he wrote. He recalled how on arrival at St Michael's, other students laughed when he told them Frost had been assigned as his teacher. They laughed and told me to be careful around the showers, he said. The victim said he initially dismissed the talk, but later learned they weren't rumours and became a victim. I felt like I've lived a double life, he said. The court heard the matter was reported to the school at the time, but the victim felt its response was inadequate. It became apparent that the reputation of the school was more important than my safety in it, he said. Another victim said the offences left him suicidal and suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety and depression. He told the court the crimes had undermined his ability to work, significantly affecting his confidence and financial stability. In sentencing, Judge Mark Williams observed that Frost continues to maintain his innocence, according to a recent psychological report. Defence counsel argued the offending against one of the victims was spontaneous and that the extent of any sexual gratification gained by Frost was trivial. Judge Williams noted the offending was against 4 different victims over an extensive period of time and determined a prison sentence should be imposed. Frost will be eligible for parole in 2027. Now, if I may...
I'll say it, the only good pedophile's a dead pedophile.
If I may...
I'm saying it out loud, I don't fucking care.
That was what was reported on ABC Riverina by Andrew Mangelsdorf. Now, I've got an article from the Border Mail in Albury.
Not also written by Mangelsdorf. I know journalists are a bit thin on the ground.
Same story.
Different, completely different framing.
A little bit more detail.
Yeah, righto. Let's do it.
Well, I think this is important.
I think it's very important.
And this article really does get to the guts of it. I think Mr. Mangelsdorf was very light and a bit...
Agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more, Simon. I'd probably, remove these. Look. Fuck.
Okay, well, let's just launch into the...
But anyway.
The article that appeared in the Border Mail, March 2nd, 2026. An Albury man who sexually abused multiple boys while working as a gym teacher at a Riverina school has been jailed as the victim spoke of the devastating impacts of his crimes. Well, that's a different opening, isn't it?
It's a slightly different framing of the setting. It was a dark and stormy night.
Yes, well, it launches straight into the actual facts of the matter. Students at St Michael's Regional High School in Wagga warned each other to be careful around Christopher Charles Frost, who would watch them shower. He was found to have targeted 4 boys between 1989 and about 1995, when he was aged in his 40s. Be careful around the showers, one victim recalled other students telling him after he started at the Church Street School. I remember being concerned how open the students were in talking about this behaviour. It had somehow become normalised. The man later learnt the rumours were true when he fell victim to Frost. He was performing the splits in gym class in year 8 when Frost put his hands on his crotch area, breathed near his thighs and cupped his genitals. The gym teacher would watch students shower. He later reported the abuse to a teacher who urged him to talk to the principal, Graham Kennedy. The victim said the principal told him to walk away and think about the severity of my allegations.
So we better put that fucker into the fucking wood chipper with
Well, no, you couldn't. He's worm food. He died in 2002.
Well, hopefully he died in a miserable pile of fucking shit and pain, and I hope he had a very, very shit existence post-death. I'm not really a fan of fate, but let's put it out there. I hope his life is shit and his afterlife is shitter.
Well, he's taken it to the grave. Anyway, that's how it goes. And there was a culture back in the day. You do have to remember the responsibility on his shoulders was to keep an upstanding reputation within the school.
Oh, look, at all costs.
And if you had a kid that was making allegations that were going to be damaging to the school, perhaps it was in your best interest to ensure that allegation went away.
A lot of these things haven't changed. There's still this element of protect the entity first.
That's what we need to talk about later.
Oh, I have no doubt we'll talk about it.
So, anyway, any reference to Graham Kennedy obviously can't be checked because Mr. Kennedy's since passed. Now, that's not in the article. That's just my observation. Now, back to the article. The victim said the principal told him to walk away and think about the severity of my allegations. His abuser was tipped off about his complaint. Ooh, that would have been uncomfortable.
That sounds about how these sort of people like to work with their little clubs and their little secret whispers and their little,
So the complainant goes on to say, something broke inside me at that moment, he said through his victim impact statement, read in the district court on Monday, March the 2nd. I came to the understanding the reputation of the school was more important than my safety in it. I wonder what I did to deserve it. The man has been haunted by vivid nightmares, intimacy and addiction issues, and a struggle to understand who he was. The victim goes on to say, it took me a long time to realise my sexuality was not the problem. It was the shame I carried, he said. I was running from myself and I continued to run for over a decade. Another victim has been plagued by intrusive thoughts, emotional instability, a deep sense of shame and a loss of control. He has come close to suicide on several occasions. The victim had been masturbated by Frost during a road trip and was chased and bear-hugged. He was groped in gym class several weeks later as Frost whispered, "You like that?" I want connection, but I also fear it, the man said, of his ongoing intimacy issues caused by Frost. Another abuse victim has been left exhausted by the constant state of vigilance he is in. Coming forward to report these offences has been one of the hardest things I've ever done, he said. I believe accountability matters. I wanted what happened to me to be acknowledged. I did not want this conduct to remain hidden or minimised. It was sustained abuse of trust and power against a child. Frost had propositioned the boy for oral sex instead of being strapped. He was abused in front of other students in class under the guise of being shown a gymnastics move, was crash-tackled and fondled and was groped. When he told Frost to stop, Frost reacted by throwing the teenager onto the concrete floor. During another incident, Frost tried to touch his genitals. The court heard Frost was the only teacher who would watch the students in the showers. He continues to deny his offending and told a psychologist he was heterosexual and had one lifetime sexual partner. The 79-year-old lives in Albury with his wife.
Oh, lucky lady.
The couple married in 1971. They have 3 children and several grandchildren. The court heard Frost had been socially ostracised and had been the victim of public shaming.
It's like he hasn't been victim of public tarring and fucking feathering.
Judge Mark Williams noted he had to sentence Frost under the principles that applied at the time of his offending. Now, I don't know what bearing that had on the sentencing. It's not described here. Judge Williams said deterrence was important to make it clear that those who act on their sexual impulses towards children will be punished. Frost was jailed for a minimum of 18 months with his earliest release date on August 31, 2027. A maximum term of 3 years and 2 months was imposed, and Frost will be a registered sex offender for 15 years.
Well, it expires in 15 years, other than the fact he's fucking old and will hopefully die.
Well, look, I just want to bring to light the difference between
a
report from the Border Mail and a report from ABC Riverina.
Yes.
Now, clearly, I believe the report from the Border Mail is far more descriptive, far more informational, and really does go to the crux of the matter and actually describes the level of offending and the level of abuse. And
it certainly doesn't try to whitewash it or
well, certainly this was
soften the.
This is all public. Obviously, this is public access information because it's been reported in the Border Mail. Now, ABC Riverina have glossed over it.
Yeah.
Now,
so,
I'm going to go on the record. I went to St. Mick's. He watched me in the shower. Obviously, I was one of those ugly ones that he wouldn't want to fiddle. Lucky me. You know, it was widely known at the time that he was a Devo.
Yeah, right.
But at the time, back in the 80s, in a Christian Brothers all-boys high school, it was somehow allowed to be glossed over.
To protect the reputation of fucking scumbags. And it's...
Now, that mechanism, that level of cover-up exists today in many, many, many...
across the board.
Many, many, many of these esteemed organisations that people expect better of. So, believe you me, the way people act compared to the way they tell you they act,
the way they present themselves is not always the fucking same.
Anyway, that's something. And look, the worst part is, here's old Frosty the Snowdropper, Frosty the Grub, Frosty the convicted pedo, Frosty, the 78-year-old Albury resident with a missus, kids and grandkids. Like, these kids were 13 and 14 and 15 at the time. They were less than 16. It happened in the 80s and early 90s. It's 2026. We're talking 46 years ago at a maximum. These people's lives have been ruined. And to give the wanker a minimum of 18 months at this late stage of the game.
Oh, it's fucking sentencing. Sentencing in this country is
compared to the life sentence that the victims have had to endure.
Yeah. That's fucking horrific. And people are still worried about the language I use.
Well, I say,
here's a couple of statistics that they've rolled out. Actually, I won't call them statistics because I haven't got the numbers in front of me. There's a couple of things. Your dad may have been very scary. Maybe that's why you were off limits, or maybe you were a very confident, boisterous child.
No, quite frankly, anyone who was in a stable family relationship where they were supported and had a good support network around them, and they were probably robust enough to withstand bullying, abuse, and that type of approach.
Well, that's
I think they stayed away from.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, I guess, the point that I was trying to make. Now, I will
recall, and this is only an anecdotal story, but I do remember there was a bit of a scandal of a guy a couple of years older than me, and the story was that Frosty had slapped him on the arse and the kid had turned around and jobbed him. Now, jobbing a teacher...
Good boy!
Jobbing a teacher when you're in at all boys Christian Brothers High School probably won't get you promoted. However,
and for those of us who are a little less bogan who don't know, when you job somebody out here in the bush, that means you're giving them a little punch in the face.
Yeah, so you've
punched them in the face. I know every now and then we get called out on lingo that doesn't quite
the student
translate.
Punched the teacher. Now, in this environment, that would be a grounds for expulsion. I'm pretty sure when the student told the principal or the people who were meting out the punishment to this student, when he said, that deviant grabbed me on the arse and I cracked him, they would have gone, well, let's not talk about this anymore.
Yes, that's the end of this discussion. You can go and have 3 days off school, and we won't put it on your file because we wouldn't want that to be any documentation.
In any other circumstance, if a student cracks a teacher, they get rubbed out.
If you violate a child, I don't give a fuck. And, to me, anyone under the age of sort of 16 is still a child. 17, 18 is a child. You know what I mean? Like, you become an adult when you're 17, 18. They're starting to explore their shit. Right?
Summer.
If you're if you're an 18-year-old and you're dating sexually active with a 17-year-old, that age gap matters at that age.
I think there's.
I'm just trying to preface this and lay the plot.
No,
it's not creepy and weird if you're 18 dating a 17-year-old because you're kind of in that.
But
age
I think
gap.
there was an unlawful carnal knowledge that kicks in at under 16.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure what the current law is.
I don't know.
Place, and I don't have a lot of faith in the fucking law anyway.
No,
right?
no.
But a child, you hurt a child, you sexually abuse or touch a child, you deserve to die. There is no if buts maybes. I've got no fucking whatever. It's just that's the result. That's what it should be. That's what it needs to be. And in saying that,
when you're in a position of guardianship, a position of power, a position of care, a position of education, and then you abuse that situation for self-gratification in a perverted sexual sense, then you have basically broken every trust in the book. And you deserve...
and they are defenseless, and usually the kids that they target are the ones who are already probably heading, the least confident, the least.
They're the kids coming from
easy targets,
vulnerable situations.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yes, they're not the kids who's if somebody touched Ryder inappropriately, I've no doubt he'd walk in and go, "Dad, this motherfucker just did whatever," and I'd be on the guy's front door that night.
Ryder would probably be the sort of kid who'd turn around and go, "Don't fucking do that."
Absolutely. And I've worked hard to ensure that he is that confident. And, they can sort of fuck off. Like they can just absolutely fuck off. Now, Simon, the bigger problem, there's a fair chance it's still going on. Mate, I guarantee you it's going on. I can guarantee you it's broader and nastier than you imagine. I mean, they had that, and I can't believe how many times I've used this phrase in the last 6 months. Satanic pedophile cult in Sydney was arrested. You can Google it.
Yes.
Police actually, some of them did their jobs, which is amazing because I believe wholeheartedly we got some amazing police, and I believe we've got some that are tied up in this shit because I believe one of them was an ex-copper. There was a copper caught the other week masturbating in a kid's park. And when he gets arrested, he's, well, you can't put me into general population because I'm an ex-copper. I'll be in danger. Good. I hope you're in fucking danger. You deserve to be in a ton of danger. Danger is the least of your worries. You should be afraid of dying because I hope it happens. These people are sick fucking psychos. They are protected far more than they should be. And I got called out the other day for not mentioning the Wood Royal Commission. Now, if you've watched my absolute tear on all these fuckers for many, many years, my first political campaign as a candidate was 2012. I think I got about 12 votes, to be fair. But I've been banging the same drum, and all that's happening now is the whole world's going, he's a bit mad, but he's probably fucking right. And I was talking about it back then, Senator Heffernan from Junee was talking about a list of 28 names. He was talking about a pedophile protection racket. Entrenched in the upper echelons of this country, including former prime ministers, judges, top-level police officers, lawyers. They used to go to some boys' love club, whatever the fuck. But you can find all this stuff out there, and people go, no, it's not really happening. Oh, no, it wouldn't happen. It happened back then. It's happening now. They're still fucking getting away with it. Happens in this little town we live in. I'm fucked if I'm going to stand for it. As I find people who are involved in hurting kids, I don't care what you do as a consenting adult. I couldn't give a fuck. Be as wild as you like. I'm all for it. Go nuts, fill your boots. But if you're fucking touching children, you're fucked, and you deserve the worst that life can dish out to you. Simon, I have no doubt whatsoever that not only are they fucking doing it, they're thriving. The Epstein files, you read, just go into ChatGPT and type in the 10 most depraved things that have come out of the.
Listen to the way it was minimised, and this is just the way that this whole system works. In this case of Chris Frost, in the article from Andrew Mangelsdorf, it says, Defence counsel argued the offending against one of the victims was spontaneous and that the extent of any sexual gratification gained by Frost was trivial.
Yeah.
Now,
trivial in whose eyes, dipshit?
But Judge Williams noted the offending was against 4 different victims over an extensive period of time.
And defence counsel in this case needs to have his head kicked in and is probably a kiddie fiddler himself. I can only speculate. At the very least, he's a kiddie fiddling apologist, and they're just as fucking bad. Fuck him.
Well, he's trying to certainly downplay the seriousness of the offences. And he hasn't managed to acknowledge the position of extreme trust that Mr. Frost was in.
Yes.
He enjoyed. And
I fucking enjoyed it far too much by the sounds of it. This fucking sick fucking dead shit.
He certainly... Anyway, like I say...
Yeah, feel sorry for the grandkids, feel sorry for the kids. Fuck, I don't know if I can feel sorry for the guy's wife. Surely she can't be that fucking dense. You know, and it's just, here's the thing with the ABC softening that. In very, very recent times, it came to light an interview in 1975 on ABC Radio.
Yes.
Pederasts, or whatever they fucking call them.
Yes.
And it was 1975. They tried to remove the radio interview.
Now, the people who've actually brought that forward, John Adams.
Johnny Adams is brilliant. I've met him a few times.
He's done a really good job of bringing that forward. Now, it was Richard Neville.
Yep.
Richard Neville was the host of the ABC show.
And you've never heard a more enthusiastic sounding fucking radio host in your life.
But there were 2 or 3 guests on that program, and they were all talking about engaging in pedophilia.
Boasting and bragging, but we can give these boys things that, you know, they can't get from a normal relationship. We can buy them things. And, you know, and at one stage, and it comes back to where I always end up with this shit, right? Because society's worked really, really hard to move to 1, weaken men, 2, remove as many strong men from the family unit as possible. And I do not doubt fucking for 1 second that it's not absolutely designed to empower these sort of scumbags. And, you know,
We've spoken about it before. We grew up in families where we knew that when we were at Fort McRae or Fort Irvine, we had a big dog who was looking after the shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we went to bed every night and slept like
there was nothing to worry about at all.
Angels, because we knew the big dog was there.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. But now, and again, for the single mums who watch, don't take offence to this because it's just a hard fact of life, is your children are more likely to become targets to these fuckwits if there is not some scary bloke in the picture. And I don't mean some local drug addict that you're shagging. I'm talking about somebody who will prioritise those children as an element of safety. And on
someone's
this,
a strong male,
a strong male figure that's going to fucking put the wind up these fuckers. And that was part of the interview on this ABC. It's a disgusting interview. If you can stomach it, I struggled not to vomit. These pricks are going, oh, you know, and I don't think any of the dads knew, but the mums we think might have suspected. I'm thinking, of course the dad didn't know because he would have caved your fucking head in. And if he didn't cave your head in, he fucking should have. Don't touch children. I don't know how much more blunt I can be. Fuck these people. Anyway, we'll run down to a couple of these. We're getting a few comments, which is awesome. I love when you guys comment, and I do try to show everybody's comments. If you're under your real name, I'll always do that. Stellas and Ivan Milat were procurers. I've heard that as well. Councillor Richard Foley from Wagga. Follow this TikTok account. She's an ex-copper that lives in Temora. Taskforce Eckersley. You've put the TikTok in there, Baby Mayo. I have spoken to her once or twice. I don't really know her. I haven't met her in person. Ironically, she does live up the street somewhere.
Good.
I'm told. But if you want to jump on and have a look at her stuff, just because I'll share it here doesn't mean I endorse it, because I don't know the facts of the story and I don't know the woman personally.
No, but certainly.
Councillor Foley's happy enough to put his name behind her, and you're all grown adults as far as I'm concerned, so feel free to jump on, check her out, talk to her. If you see some value, all I can say is, that's... yeah, absolutely. I'm not your mum. Ethan Clark, Richard Foley, nice to see you. Hey, Ethan, good to see you too, even though you didn't say hello to me, very rude. Fiona Barnett, Eyes Wide Open, and Rachel Vaughan. I've seen some of their stuff lately. It's pretty disgusting as well, what they've gone through. And again, you sit there and these people are traumatised. They've been made targets. They've been made scapegoats by a whole machine that protects the scumbag.
Yep.
You know, they've been wanting to discredit me for 1,000 years, and I give them a little bit of material they get to work with. But at the end of the day, they're not going to get me with any surprises because I'm not rooting fucking children, you sick fucking freaks. Wayne Dina saw that. BC Guestia, what the fuck, how do we stop this? We've tried to wake people up. If they're more worried about their next dollar, most animals protecting their babies are better than us. Truly sad. Look, I agree, and we are on an absolute treadmill. Everybody's finances are hurting. It's going to get worse.
And the whole system's geared up to separate parents from their children.
Yep.
The whole thing is you've got to have two incomes to exist in this world today, and I mean two solid incomes. So children are being born and they're being entrusted into childcare as absolute babies.
And we've saw very recently that fucking scumbag down in Victoria fucking jizzing in the children's food.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, you're so blunt. Good. It's about time somebody was fucking blunt about this shit. I'm not sugarcoating any of this shit. That guy was jizzing in baby food.
The way society's developing is pretty much we give birth, we bring a child into the world, and then we're so stressed and pressured to actually go and get $1 that we don't actually spend any time with the kid.
And a lot of us, I like doing the projects I do, but effectively I work what you could call either 3 jobs or 2.5 businesses and a job and a partridge in a pear tree. I'm on an absolute mission now to make it so that Lisa doesn't have to go back to work.
Yes.
Because I do not want strangers raising my baby girl. Look, my son's 13, and to be fair, I've missed far more time with him than I wanted to. Some of that's my fault, some of that's circumstance, that's life. I'm trying desperately to make sure that this 6-month-old, she's 6 months next week, doesn't have to go into fucking daycare with strangers. And I'm sure this isn't an indictment on daycare centre workers or anything like that, obviously, other than the ones who violate children.
It's an indictment of the system that
the system forces.
The system's got to the point where the parents are so pressured to exist in the world that they can't even care for their own children, that the system doesn't allow them the time.
Yeah. And it also works really, really hard. And this is where I get caught up. A lot of people go, oh, but what about? And what about? And I go, unfortunately, my brain sees the whole show like a big jigsaw puzzle. And I can see all these pieces working and what causes that and what flows on with that. And everyone thinks I'm a bit hard-ass or you're a bit mean or you're a bit whatever. And then I'll do a 7-minute rant and touch on 48 topics in 7 minutes. And people are like, fuck, that's all too much. Or, you know, you're talking too much. It's like, there's a lot to talk about. Yeah. This is what's going on. You're taking dads out of the house.
Yes.
Not just with work, but with pressure, with financial pressure, with if mum does get to stay home, she's got 48 blokes messaging her on fucking Facebook all day. She's got TV telling her she can have everything and she should. There's this audacious bloke who's only working one job and earning 50, 60, 70 grand a year is not good enough. You deserve better. And you work through this whole thing. I saw a joke today, and I'm a funny guy, right? And it was this lady, and she's talking about there's a building with 6 layers of husbands for women to choose from. And the first one was, this man has a job. But the rule was you could only go up levels, you couldn't go back levels. And the idea was, you know, you'd up. So the first guy, this guy has a job. And the woman, well, that's something. Let's see what's on level 2. This guy has a job and loves kids. Level 3, this guy has a job, loves kids, and he's extremely good looking. Level 4, extremely good looking, loves kids, has a job, very romantic, blah, 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 blah. Level 5, bells, whistles, owns, blah, blah, blah. Got to level 6. You are the 3,480th woman who has landed on this floor, and this floor has no men on it. It was just here designed to prove that no matter what a man does, he cannot make a woman happy. And that was a woman's joke. The woman did it. I rolled around laughing, which is she obviously did better than me because I wouldn't be much of a comedian. But that's exactly what they're doing. They're feeding, you see it all the time. Men are currently never good enough, no matter what they do. But they can never provide enough. They can never spend enough time because you can't have everything, which means you're either trading off financial capability for time and involvement.
So you're either not a provider or you're
not a nurturer and you're not there and you're not available. If you're not there and you're not available, and this isn't trying to be hard on women because women need a certain amount of attention and they want attention and they want love and they want all this sort of shit. But on the other side, whichever bloke they've managed to tie himself up with And we're taking out the drug shits and the dead shits, and I'm talking about these blokes who are trying to hold down jobs, trying to spend time with their kids, trying to potentially either buy a house,
do the job properly,
trying to do the right thing as best they can, and they're off working 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week to try and provide all this shit that they simply can't afford, no matter how hard they work. Because as soon as they get 2 steps ahead, it's going to come crashing down some way, shape, or the other, or they'll get a tax bill, or their business will fail, or they'll lose their job, or whatever the case may be. She's busy jumping on the neighbour because the neighbour hasn't got a job. He's a dead shit, but he's got all the time in the world to give her all the attention she could possibly need. And they seem to have just enough money to be able to fucking buy their way in with a bit of bribe. And I mean, look, that's a pretty nihilistic way to look at it, but that's a very common scenario in a broad spectrum of what's going on. Which again, then he becomes the world's biggest arsehole because he didn't pay her enough attention. Well, you don't spend any time with me and the kids. No, I'm trying to fucking keep food on the table. And then he gets upset. He's mad because he's like, well, I'd like some appreciation for how hard I'm trying to work here. I'm trying to provide for you guys. Oh, you shove your appreciation up your ass, you don't spend any time with us. And this cycle gets worse, and then you end up in family court, and that's a whole different fuck up. But all of it involves the kids being separated out from their partners, or parents, partners being separated from each other, and the government stepping in. And when the government step in, you've got some well-meaning people, and then you've got scumbags who jizz in baby food, and then you've got child trafficking going 100 miles. There's more child trafficking now than there has been at any other time in human history.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrifying.
Well, it's perfect conditions.
Absolutely.
It's perfect conditions because the kids have been separated from the parents. The parents like to think they know what's going on, but more often than not,
haven't got a clue.
No.
And I'm guilty of it. I look at my 13-year-old and I'm trying to keep up as best I can while working 3 jobs with where he's up to and how's he going with his school. And I've got him. I've been working with him.
You're not completely isolated. No. You're not completely doing it solo.
No, God, no. Thank you.
It'd be impossible. You've got some good support around you, and you know that there is some oversight.
And I've done as much as I can to arm him with what he needs to. But I also look at it and I go, I also pay for extra tutoring because I can't be there to do homework. Now, he thinks that's Dad being an arsehole. That's Dad knowing that he can't be there. I'm trying to go, right, you've got this tutoring program. I need somebody to help you with this. Because I can't sit around and do your homework with you. Not that I'd be smart enough to do some of it anyway, I'm sure. But it's just a whole broken system. And that's how pricks like fucking Frost get away with that shit. That's how pricks like Epstein get away with his shit. It's how these satanic pedophile cults, fuck me, what a world we're in.
All right, now, let's raise the tone and talk about our favourite publication, the Temora Independent. Now, Thursday, the paper, we get one paper a week in Temora, and it comes out on a Thursday for anyone who's not sure. They've got the day right, they've got the date right, and they've got the price right. So
we're off to a good start.
Tick and tick. So, Noel Fisher, tick.
You've had a good day, son. You can tie your shoelaces.
Yep. Now, front page, a local business in sales Temora is the Case IH Dealer of the Year. Congratulations, guys. Well deserved.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well done.
That's a big deal. The little headlines at the top, Warbirds Down Under, which is a massive air show in Temora. It was due to be held in October 2026. It's been cancelled. Oh, that's a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, right. What's caused that?
We'll go into that in a minute. We'll talk about it. I've actually got...
I didn't cause it, did I?
No, I don't think I did. I don't think you did.
Okay, cool.
That's just one of the museum's aircraft. And actually, this photograph was taken by Classic Aircraft Photography, and I've just got that as a screensaver just up there in their background. But there's a bit of a story to this aircraft, and I'll come back to it. Okay, so now let's just do our Rick picks while we're here. Now, for anyone who's a new viewer, we've got a mayor in Temora, and I don't mean in the horse sense, I mean in the local government sense. And he's a bit of a media...
Thanks, Lara.
Media hound. He makes himself available for any photo opportunities and usually absolutely loads up the pages of Temora, the Temora Independent. So we usually just run through and do a bit of a tally. Now, I think the best ever is 10 photographs in a 10-page paper of our mayor doing different things around town.
I mean, look, here's the Brad Pitt of Temora.
Well,
women swoon.
Oh,
the media, the paparazzi follow him around.
Well, Noel Fisher certainly does. Anyway, so the front page, believe it or not, the mayor doesn't get a run. Okay, so we've got
Surely his name's in one of the articles.
We've got room to improve. Anyway, page 2. No. Okay. Page 3. Oh, there's something we're going to come back to on
We'll
page
come back
3.
we'll come back to that one.
But no picture of the mayor.
Find that outrageous.
Well, page 4, no picture of the mayor. And page 5, no picture of the mayor.
Yeah, right.
And page 6, no picture of the mayor. And page 7, no picture of the mayor.
Noel Fisher's going to get the sack.
Page 8, no picture of the mayor. Page 9, no picture of the mayor.
Is this still the Temora Dependent? Or?
Page 10, no picture of the mayor. Page 11, no picture of the mayor. Page 12, no picture of the mayor. And believe it or not, page 13, no picture of the mayor.
He's going to get the sack, this bloke.
Page 14, no picture of the mayor. Page 15, no picture of the mayor. This is getting grim. Oh,
Well, we finally found one.
thank goodness.
Oh, two. Two on the same page. Okay.
Page 16, we've got the February report from the Office of Rick Furman.
The Office of Rick Furman.
Oh, so from the Office of Rick Furman, we've got a full page here printed in the Temora Independent from the Office of Rick Furman. And would you believe the Office of Rick Furman's included 2 photos of Rick Furman? Now, I don't know whether we can allocate full points when you supply your own photo in your own article. I think they've got to be halves. You know, I don't think we can allocate a full point to that. So Rick Furman's managed to put his own report in about himself with 2 photos of himself in it.
That's lovely.
So I'm going to call that 1, just because I'm a harsh marker. Page 17, no Rick Furman. Page 18, no Rick Furman. Page 19, no Rick Furman. Page 20, no Rick Furman.
As in
21, no. He couldn't get a game in the Rouettes. He could not get a game in golf. He couldn't get a game in the cricket. He could not get a game in the soccer. He didn't even get a game in the Dragons, just fall short in the West Wyalong knockout. So,
well, there you go.
So we've got a very special paper here where the only photos of the mayor were actually provided by the mayor. That's a pretty special paper. Anyway, on with the show. The big headlines for a lot of the community today, and this was a bit of a point of contention, and we spoke about it last week and the week before. The headline reads, legal bill for council, $52,000. $52,000. That's a lot of money.
Well, it is when you're about to try and jam us for a special rate variation.
Now, they didn't muck around. They're straight into him. The cost of legal action taken by Councillor Anthony Irvine against Temora Shire Council in the Administrative and Equal Opportunity Division of New South Wales Civil Administrative Tribunal, NCAT, has been revealed, and the cost to the council was a staggering $52,000. Now, that's not correct. That's what they paid for legal representation. The actual real cost hasn't been recorded, but that doesn't include staff costs. That could be significantly more. Anyway, on we go. In the February council meeting, Temora Shire Council Deputy Mayor Graham Sinclair directed a question. I wonder whether it was prompted, but anyway, it looked like he made it up off the.
This is the question you need to ask.
To the Director of Finance and Governance, Elizabeth Small. We do.
We talked about this today, yes. Now, this poor lady, now, I don't know her well, but she seems like a nice enough, I've run into her a few times at kids' sport and stuff. I don't know her, and I'm not going to rag her off in any way, shape or form, right? Other than in my usual, everybody in the upper echelon of council needs to resign until we're in profit, and we're not trying to rate people for rates. But they can't get this lady's name right for all the gold in China. She was Elizabeth Taylor one week.
That's right.
Now she's Elizabeth Small.
And it seems to be when they're doing NCAT stuff, because it was on the front page of the paper when they called her Elizabeth Taylor.
Fuck, you've got one job as an editor of a newspaper, and this lady's in a relatively prominent position.
And they've referred to her as Elizabeth Small. Now, look, it's not a unique name. It's not a rare name. Believe it or not, it's one of the most common names probably in Australia. Smith. S-M-I-T-H. Smith. Okay, so poor Elizabeth is going to get a complex because no one remembers her last name.
Nobody remembers the name. She's going to be in the fetal position.
So disregard the $52,000 in legal fees for flying.
You people can't even get highly ranked officials.
For crying out loud, just get the bloody name right.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway.
Gracious me.
In relation to the cost of the legal fees for the case brought against the council. So, fortunately, Elizabeth had those figures at hand because the question was unprompted from Councillor Sinclair. But fortunately, at the meeting, Elizabeth Smith had the figures at the top of the page. Now, councillors were visibly shocked at the disclosure, and even more so when it was stated that this did not include the cost of time for council staff in dealing with the matter. Now, that seems to indicate that Councillor Irvine really is a terrible person. Oh, that'd be me. Anyway, the case centres on Councillor Irvine's reluctance to sign a confidentiality agreement to view a confidential council document, the deed of separation between the council and former General Manager Gary Lavelle. Temora Shire Council Mayor said in the council meeting that in order for the former General Manager to retire, a deed of separation was required to commence the recruitment process for the new General Manager, and upon legal advice from Williamson and Barwick lawyers, it was deemed a confidential document. Now, this is in quotation marks, and obviously, I advised the council of the day, and I would advise this council, that anybody who wishes to view the documents may do so upon making an appointment with the mayor and, of course, signing the confidentiality agreement, Councillor Furman said. Now, I haven't had any councillor, not one, that has asked for that to occur. I have received a request on the 13th of February from a councillor to submit a request to view the documents. So I'm going to remind everyone in this chamber that that opportunity is still open. So therefore, anybody who wishes to view the documents, they may do so. I am amazed that I have received this request at this late stage. This is a very, very disappointing outcome, and that is as mild as I can put it. So that's what the mayor said. Now, Mr. Fisher goes on to report. Councillor Irvine said in the meeting that he resented the fact that he had to, as a councillor, sign a confidentiality agreement to view a document that he was a party to. So this is in quotation marks, and Mr. Fisher's quoted me directly from the meeting. So I opted to exercise my right, only to get back what I'm entitled to, Councillor Irvine said. Council chose to seek legal representation and chose to incur the cost that they incurred. That's what I said. I did say that. Now, I also said this. You can self-represent at NCAT. You can go into NCAT.
You don't need to spend $52,000 on lawyers. You fucking chose to.
NCAT is designed to try and get to some sort of a resolution of these issues as cost-effectively and with the least amount of legal process as possible.
So with all the big swinging dicks in the building, They had to spend $52,000
Well,
on
they
outside big swinging dick, an even bigger swinging dick law firm to take on a sign writer. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, no, I'm a audio production specialist. I'm a feral game management controller. There's lots of things I do. I wear many hats.
I'm aware, but you've got X amount of people who are on well over $100,000 a year in that office, and a heap of big swinging dicks in the periphery, and they still had to go and find a very, very expensive Sydney law firm.
High vis on.
So you self-represent. How much did you spend on lawyers, councillor?
Well, listen to this. This is what I said in the meeting. You can self-represent. My own costs, they are far, far less than $52,000. In fact, my legal costs on the matter to date are zero. Now, let me clarify. That's my legal cost for representation. Now, I will say that I had to pay $30 for the formal access application under the GIPA Act. And in order to file a matter at NCAT, the current cost is $129.
Is that part of the 52,000, or did you have to?
No, I have to pay that.
Oh, right.
I don't consider that. My reference to zero legal cost was for representation.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just making sure they didn't have to cough up the 112.
No, I paid the 129.
That'd be 52,129, and that'd be really outrageous.
Yes. And so I went on to say, so it's all about choices. Good choices, bad choices, whatever choices you'd like to make. Now,
the only difference is when they make bad choices, we, the ratepayer, has to fucking pay for it. You make choices, you pay for your own.
Now, Mr. Fisher goes on to report, Councillor Irvine also said that he is frustrated that he is being denied free and open access to a document he is a party to.
I would think if I'm a signatory to a document, I want access to it.
In response, Councillor Furman said that it was articulated to both the former and current council that was the legal advice received from Williamson and Barwick lawyers, who are highly respected local government and industrial relations solicitors.
Parasites.
No, this is what the mayor said. So, Mr. Fisher goes on to report. The decision handed down on Monday the 6th of July by NCAT affirmed the council's origination and listed 33 reasons for the decision, including the following. And this is the kicker. In quotation marks from the decision. Mr. Irvine is in a unique position as a councillor and can see the whole of the document requested, subject to conditions of confidentiality not to disclose the information to third parties contained in the Code of Conduct by which he is bound as a councillor. Oh, fucking okay.
Fuck.
So, what did I want at the first instance? I wanted to view a copy as a councillor of the document, and I was quite happy to abide by the regulations, the Code of Conduct, the confidentiality regulations that exist as a councillor under the Local Government Act. There appears that council wanted to put an additional layer of confidentiality, and who knows what was in this additional layer. I never signed it. I never took that up. But I'll tell you the funny part about this. This document here is the deed relating to employment from Temora Shire Council, so entered into by Temora Shire Council and Gary Charles Lavelle. Had the mayor given me what I consider fair access to the document with the normal confidentiality provisions that apply to a councillor in New South Wales, This,
Yeah, so there are already safeguards in there for
this document would not be publicly available. So through the given process that I accessed, the Government Information Public Access Act process that I accessed through this system, my rights as a person, I've actually had released to the general public. Now, this would never have happened had I been given access to the confidential agreement as a councillor under the confidentiality provisions in place.
And you know what? I would have wouldn't have given two shits right up until you go to me. You're not going to believe what they've told me that I'm not allowed to see.
Front page, neck page. Oh, so we've got 2 full pages, little bit of redaction, not much. Neck page. That's all public access. That's all shit that you guys wouldn't have been able to see. Now you can. If you go into Tomorrow Shire Council tomorrow and you ask for a copy of this, you'll get an exact copy of what I'm showing you right now. Here's the interesting page, and this is probably where the mayor's getting a bit upset, because I've said, show me your bullshit agreement and I'll consider signing it, because I want to see what's under the black ink here. This bit. See that bit? They're the bits I want to see.
That's not the Epstein
I
parties
don't
or the
know.
Puff Daddy
That
parties.
page, no problems. I haven't got a problem with that page. What about those 2 pages? No issue, not a problem. And the community can see every bit of ink on those pages. And then we get to the last page, no redactions. And then we get to the signing page. Now that's okay. I don't need to see your signature, you know. So here we are. Council have spent $52,000 trying to protect
Whatever's under those five.
protect this document, and currently they've achieved sweet fuck all. They've got paragraph 3.3 that they've managed to block out. There's a figure here that's blocked out. How many hours of annual leave we're owing Mr. Lavelle? I can't see the remainder of 3.3 there. There's paragraph 3.5 or clause 3.5. There's clause 3.8, clause 3.9 and clause 3.10. Everything else is now public access, which wouldn't have been the case had the mayor just given me a look at the thing under the confidentiality provisions of the Local Government Act. Instead, the mayor said, no, you have to sign this special form and you have to do it in this way. You have to stand on one leg and blow a bowl out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, pat your head and rub your tummy,
Yes.
whatever you got to do. And look, that was when you and I had that discussion back in the Tomorrow radio days, and you mentioned that you'd been basically put in a room and told that the only way you were allowed to see this document, even though you were an elected sitting councillor, who was the second most primary votes, I might reiterate to people in that particular election.
And the next one.
And the next one. But at the time, you said to me, I'm not allowed to read this document. It's a secret. So what do you mean? Yeah, that's what you get elected to council for. That's why we elect councillors, is because we want to. I know, for me, I have very little faith as a general rule, but we want to have faith in a system that has these people that we elect who will go in there and be our eyes and ears. And if they think there's something foul, they will stand up.
Well,
for
part of my
us.
civic duties is to actually determine whether agreements that are entered into by council are in the best interest of the people of
The
Temora.
ratepayer, yeah, absolutely.
People of Temora Shire. So that includes Springdale and Area Park and everywhere in between. Now, this is the NCAT document. Now, council seem to be putting this forward as some sort of a win. Okay, now let's have a look at it. And it's fresh. 16th of Feb. It's fresh.
Oh, this is the latest.
It is fresh.
It's lovely.
Okay, front page. Reasons for the decision. And we go through all of the reasons, okay? Paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, on and on it goes. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah.
Is this a publicly accessible document?
This is on New South Wales case law. If you search New South Wales case law, Irvine v Temora Shire Council, there'll be a number of decisions up there because I have been quite busy in this space. But this is the one from the hearing dates was the 22nd of August. Now, it took from the 22nd of August to the 16th of February for M.W. Anderson, senior member of the NCAT, to hand down the decision. The thing that I find really, 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 really interesting is we get to the last page of the decision and we get down to paragraph 32 out of 33.
Looks very similar to a document or a bit of paper we were just
out
reading.
of 33 paragraphs. And it says, Mr. Irvine is in a unique position as a councillor and can see the whole of the document requested, subject to conditions of confidentiality, not to disclose the information to third parties contained in the code of conduct by which he is bound as a councillor. Now, there's a further line here that says the information is sought to be used in a public forum. Now, that's only in respect to the Government Information Public Access Act application. That's the only relationship that line has to the previous paragraph. So what Mr. Anderson's decision delivers is confirmation that my position initially to demand access to the document under my statutory obligations as a councillor in New South Wales and the Local Government Act and the Model Code of Conduct that sits under that is sufficient to view the document. Now, there's nothing in paragraph 32 that says, oh, but he also has to sign Rick Furman's special confidentiality agreement. Now, there's nothing there, and it doesn't say it. So clearly, as much as the council are trying to tout this as some sort of a victory for common sense, what it basically does is it reinforces my original position. And, it's buried in the second last paragraph of the decision. Surprise, surprise. However, I don't think it's intentional. What it basically does is it reinforces my rights as a councillor in New South Wales to see the fucking document without having to sign a fucking confidentiality fucking agreement.
And you know what? I've made it clear this whole period of time. If you went in there, and I reckon most of the constituents of this electorate that voted you in, gave you their primary vote, if you went and looked at that document and you came out and we jumped on this program and you went, no, guys, everything in there is hunky-dory. There's nothing in there that, there's a couple things that probably a bit, I probably wouldn't have gone that way, but above board, everybody would go, fuck it, cool, done.
That's my job.
That's your job. That's what you're there for. That's what you get your $12 a fucking year for, or whatever it is they pay you.
12,000 roughly.
But
I still reckon I'm underpaid.
Well, I think everybody's overpaid until we're back in a break even. Everybody's overpaid in that.
I reckon I'm underpaid, and I'll tell you why I reckon I'm underpaid, because the mayor's gone on to say that I'm the only bastard who's actually asked to have a look at the fucking thing. Hey, I'm the only one doing my fucking job.
Correct.
Seriously.
I agree.
I'm the only one who said, give us a look at this agreement you've entered into and just let me know what the implications are to me as an individual, to me as a councillor, and to the council more broadly, and obviously to the impact of the residents and ratepayers of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what is the fucking secret?
What's the secret? What's such a big secret?
There is a secret, the more I'm going to dig.
Absolutely. And if you, as our elected representative, when I say our, the people who particularly the people who gave you their first choice
I'm an elected representative for everyone, because that's how it works.
Yeah, I'm saying from my perspective, though, the people who gave you their first choice vote went, we want this guy in there because this guy's going to go in. And if he comes out and tells us that it's all legit and straight shoot, I'll go, cool, done. I'll think of something else to do in my time, quite happily.
Well, that's my job, isn't it?
That's what you're there for. I don't want to. I can tell you, I have no interest in reading your 85 folders a week. No. I'd rather chew glass. Even if I tripped, fell and got elected to Parliament, I'd effectively say to somebody else, you better read that and tell me what's in it. I'm not doing that shit.
The thing is, and this is the thing, I'm not there to be a member of the club. I'm not there to kowtow, and I'm not there to be patted on the head and told to shut the fuck up and just, it's okay.
Yes, trust.
No.
Trust in the mayor.
I'm a party to this agreement because this agreement was enacted when I was sitting as a councillor. And the financial implications of this agreement are an ongoing issue.
Yeah.
So I have asked for how much was the general manager getting paid, how long was this agreement supposed to last, blah, 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 blah. No information. So I'm being given no information. I'm asking sensible questions as a councillor, trying to represent the interests of the community and also fulfil my civic duties as a councillor in New South Wales. And these are all laid out in the Local Government Act.
Yep.
And the councillor resisting.
Well, I'm fucking resisting to the tune of 52 grand.
Oh,
now, Andrew has just asked you, have you actually seen the unredacted copy? And the answer to that, I believe, is no.
No, well, I haven't, because I haven't signed their agreement. Their agreement. I haven't signed their agreement yet. So I've asked the mayor to prepare the agreement, and I've actually got a copy of the agreement to consider. But again, the way these things work, it's a very complex and detailed agreement, and only an imbecile would sign that agreement without getting some independent legal advice. Now, in the councillor's expenses policy within council, there is a provision that council will pay the reasonable legal expenses for a councillor to get legal advice. And I think this would be one of the circumstances. So next council meeting, I'm actually going to take a request to council for my reasonable legal expenses for independent legal advice into this matter to be met by council. So again, further escalates the costs to the residents and ratepayers because of the insistence of council that I sign a legal agreement. Now, if council are insisting that I sign as a councillor a legal agreement over and above what I've signed on for in my councillor's oath, then I think it's fair and reasonable that council cover the cost for reasonable legal expenses.
I feel it's reasonable for council to do. I feel it's unreasonable for the ratepayers to pay for any of this malarkey.
Well, look, there's another alternative. Council could give me access to the document without the necessity of the legal
council
agreement.
Could pull their fucking heads in and do what they're supposed to do.
If they said, no, you can look at the document without the signing the legal agreement and you're bound by the confidentiality clauses that you've signed on for as a councillor, then I'd look at the thing tomorrow.
Yep.
I'd actually look at it tonight. I would go down to the Rare's place in his Jimmy Jams and look at the thing tonight. I really would.
Yeah.
So, look, that's where it's at, Andrew. Really, no, I haven't signed the agreement because I haven't got independent legal advice as to what exposure or what risks might be associated with the signing of this agreement and what rights I may be giving away.
Yeah, what sneaky legalese they've stuck in there to stitch you up.
But not even if there's anything nefarious. It's just purely so I may understand how it affects my statutory rights as a councillor, or how it may impinge my ability to maybe perhaps talk to an independent integrity agency. There's all sorts of things. You wouldn't want to sign an agreement that stopped you making a public interest disclosure, for example, if you found something untoward in the remainder of the document. There's certain things that someone has to consider before they sign such a obviously important document to council, because they've been dependent upon this document, and Williamson Barwick lawyers are really wedded to this agreement, and they're quite adamant that it's a necessity to view the remaining couple of redacted paragraphs that this document be signed. I don't know. What
are we hiding, kids? What are we hiding?
I don't know. I'd be quite happy to view the document and abide by my confidentiality provisions afforded in the Local Government Act, but it appears that's not going to be an option. So I think the best thing I can do at this point in time is to get some independent legal advice and understand, at the very least, what the circumstances are should I sign said agreement.
I'll tell you what, fucking scary stuff.
Well, it's interesting, and
maybe there's something there about a truckload of baby oil or something for a puffy party.
Look, the funny part about it is, and this is the thing, with all this secrecy, all they've managed to do is actually expose the document. because
and it's going to keep going because you're a dog with a bone, as you should be,
Well,
because I want to know what's in it now.
as we can see here now, we've got these.
I want to know what the secret is. What's the big secret?
But even take this for example. Now this thing's extraordinary. This is one of the clauses that really gets my curiosity peaking. At paragraph 3.4, and look, anybody who wants to read this document can go into council tomorrow and ask at the front counter, can I please have a copy of the GIPA released deed relating to employment concerning Temora Shire Council and Gary Charles Lavelle. So that's something that I have achieved for the community in terms of transparency and accountability. And council have resisted to the tune of $52,000
of our money
plus staff costs. Paragraph 3.4. The agreement states, the parties agree that the employee will be permitted to proceed onto annual leave and long service leave immediately following the commencement of the award staff contract in accordance with the award and will not be required to perform duties. So basically, in a nutshell, what this agreement did was create a situation whereby when Mr. Gary Charles Lavelle finished being general manager, he was transitioned onto an award staff contract.
That didn't involve any duties.
So at paragraph 3.1...
So you're an employee. That's like the old sit-down jobs that the mafia used to use with construction. You did a sit-down union job, and you didn't actually have to show up. It was a no-show job. They'd pay you a wage.
I think Wharfies had jobs like that.
Yeah. It was the same thing. The Wharfies,
if you had someone to punch your card...
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So that's effectively what they've put him on according to this deal. You don't have to do any work. Don't come in and do any duties. But
paragraph 3.1, it really sums up the guts of it. No later than the 1st of May 2024, or as soon as is reasonably practical, if the general manager contract terminates pursuant to clause 10.3.1 of the general manager contract, council and the employee shall enter into a written contract of employment, in brackets, an award staff contract, to commence with immediate effect upon the termination of the general manager contract. So as soon as he finishes being general manager, he gets a job on an award staff contract. Now, at paragraph 3.2, it goes on to state, the award staff contract will be for the position of executive manager, will not be a senior staff position, will be a term contract for the specific task of providing management consultancy advice to the newly appointed general manager to enable leadership transition, and will be covered by the Local Government Award 2017 New South Wales or its successors. The executive manager position will not be a position within the organisation structure of council. So it seems like some sort of black ops. But listen to this. There seems to be some conflict in this agreement. It'll be a term contract for the specific task of providing management consultancy advice to the newly appointed general manager to enable leadership transition. Okay, now that's at clause 3.2. Now let's consult clause 3.4. The parties agree that the employee will be permitted to proceed onto annual leave and long service leave immediately following the commencement of the award staff contract in accordance with the award, and will not be required to perform duties. So that appears to be in conflict with it's a term contract for the specific task of providing management consultancy advice to the newly appointed general manager to enable leadership transition, but you can't do anything at 3.4. So
because you're off on long service leave. No duties required.
I'm fucked if I know.
I believe that's the appropriate response.
I need to know what's under.
What other bullshit's under the line?
Because I just don't fucking get it. How can you have a job that's your job description, but you're not allowed to do it? I'm fucked if I know.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And this is the sort of shit that I have to fucking put up with on a fucking daily basis, and I've had it up to here.
Oh, goodness.
Well,
Now,
fuck
Andrew's asked again, as a counsellor, you should be given access to all documents. Has the letter from the legal firm been cited?
Yes, I have had the opportunity to cast my eye over the document, and I'm fucking confused. And that's why, Andrew, of course, I do need to
A bit
get
of legal representation.
some independent legal advice to understand what the document actually means in a true sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if any of our viewers are badass lawyers and have a few principles and want to lend a hand, feel free to put your hand up.
And I think it'd be very unfair if council didn't agree to provide under the council expenses policy reasonable legal expenses to have this advice provided, because as you can hear, like, I'm confused even by the document, let alone
It's fucking malarkey. The whole lot of it, it's just malarkey and bullshit.
I don't know how you can be on this contract at paragraph 3.2 that says the sole
These are your duties. By the way, you need to go on holiday.
The sole purpose of this document is to provide management transition advice to the incoming general manager.
And for 300 grand a year, she shouldn't need too much fucking advice.
But then you're not allowed to do it.
No.
But like everyone agrees that you don't have to perform any duties.
Don't do anything. Here's your wage.
So
here's 70 grand a year. I'm getting 70 grand from my ass. I don't know how much.
This is the part that's really interesting. And look, like I say, we can talk about this because thanks to my GIPA requests and my GIPA applications and my attentiveness to this whole process, we can actually talk about this in the community publicly. Now, this is the thing I don't get. The parties acknowledge that during the award staff contract, the employee will continue to accrue entitlements in accordance with the award.
So he's picking up long service leave while he's on long service leave.
The employee will continue to accrue entitlements during the award staff contract. So while it appears like, I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds to me like a layperson, like a sign writer. The parties acknowledge that during the award staff contract, the employee will continue to accrue entitlements in accordance with the award. So basically, it says at 3.4, it says the parties agree that the employee will be permitted to proceed on to annual leave and long service leave immediately following the commencement of the award staff contract. So it appears that while they're on annual leave and long service leave, they're accruing annual leave and long service leave. That's what it appears. That's how it appears to be written to me. I might be misreading that. I might be misunderstanding that. I'm only a dumbass. I don't know what's going on.
So Daniel, he sounds like fun. I flogged a cat. Where's that? Is that Canberra? Is it? Must be the Canberra version. 5 minutes flat by their corruption of language is fiction and fact can't occupy the same space.
Well, we've had situations in that space where we've had two statements by different individuals, and we have had a situation whereby both statements can't exist in the same space and time, and one has to yield. We just haven't decided. We haven't confirmed which one will yield.
They can't even get key players' names right. That's how fucking hopeless these people are.
Okay, so that's really, and this is the whole thing. Mr. Fisher has sort of framed that as some sort of a win for council. Irvine is the villain. Irvine's put council to huge cost unnecessarily. No, council put themselves to their own costs unnecessarily and continue to do so.
And blame other people, which is
effectively what try and blame me. It appears, according to the NCAT decision, that as has been verified at paragraph, and people can go and look at this shit. It's on the web. It's on the interwebs. At paragraph 32 in the decision, it bears out my position that I established at the outset of this matter, and continues to be supported by the Civil Administrative Tribunal, and it tends to indicate that I have rights as a councillor and they're being impinged.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's been a fun little session, my friend.
Now, the only other thing that's big news from a local level, this is massive news from my perspective.
I didn't do it.
No, I know. And we don't want to, we're going all right.
Yeah, we're going okay, we're cool.
We'll go quick. Page
the Warbirds thing.
5 in the Temora Independent, there's further confirmation that Temora's one of the biggest events on Temora's calendar on a just full stop. Warbirds Down Under has been cancelled. The RAAF have withdrawn some of their support for the maintenance and upkeep of some of the aircraft. Those aircraft have been returned back to Temora Aviation Museum. There'll be some conversations around whether they will ever be flown again, because I imagine it's really expensive to keep them in the air, and I don't know what the outcomes might be, but that's all to be determined going forward. But the aircraft in the background here is one of the aircraft affected. This is the Cessna A37B Dragonfly, a Vietnam era jet built by the Cessna Aircraft Company in the States, and they were delivered to the South Vietnamese Air Force. This particular example was one owned and flown by the Temora Aviation Museum, and it was under the ownership of the RAAF and the maintenance of the RAAF, and it's been handed back to the Temora Aviation Museum. Now, this holds a special place in our heart because we worked on the restoration of this aircraft as local providers in the community. This aircraft was stripped down for a bare metal restoration. They put a full suite of avionics through it. They put fresh jet engines. They put Martin Baker ejection seats in the thing. They got some guys up from Melbourne who painted it with PPG aerospace paint, and Irvine Signs, Anthony Irvine and Deanne Watson of Irvine Signs, we did all the graphics. So we had the paint guys came in, they did all the camo, and then we came in and we put, and some elements of these are hand painted. So that's all hand painted, that's all hand painted, that's all hand painted. All of these really fine detail was put together by Deanne Watson off original plans, and she made all of these stencils so that the guys at the museum could then go and paint all of the original Cessna factory markings on this plane. Now, when we were finished this plane, I said to Andy Bishop, the chief engineer who was in charge of the restoration, did a really thorough job. I said to Andy, I said, how's this one sit in relationship to all the other examples of this type in the world? And Andy didn't hesitate. He just said, it's the best. And I went, well, that'll do.
That'll do. I'll take that. Yeah,
that'll
fair
do
enough.
for a couple of spudge from Temora. So that's an example of the legacy and the heritage that's contained here at the Temora Aviation Museum. My old man went to Vietnam in 1966, and I took him to the Aviation Museum one day, and he never talked much about the war, but he said to me, he said, I remember those frigging things. He said, we'd be walking through long grass towards a tree line, and the enemy were in the tree line. And he said, so we'd be approaching it, and he said, these things would be coming in behind us at low level, strafing the tree line with their cannon.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he said the empty shell casings would be landing around you in the bush. And he said you would be shitting yourself. And I said, not as much as the pricks in the tree. No. And he said, no.
No, not as much.
But
Alright.
anyway, like I say, so this stuff, as much as people think it's lovely to have and whatever else, it's really, really, really significant that we don't forget what it was for, what the reasons were, and the people who operated in these environments, and, you know.
Well, the genuine history of where it all came from. You know, look, there's a bit of a downside to obviously RAAF's run by the government, And originally it was sort of founded and funded by the Lowy family because Playboy billionaire son wanted to play with these cool planes, and that's how it all came about. And then they spent a ton of money. Money was never an object at that point.
Well, it always was, but still they managed to find.
Well, it was that wasn't the point of the project for them. It was, well, this is what we're doing, and this is what's going to be. And you know, my brother Luke was the first apprentice they put on out there.
That's the whole.
You know,
it's been a massive boon. It's been a massive boon for the town.
Absolutely.
I can remember they used to have Christmas parties for everyone associated, and anyway, all the contractors and the workers throughout the course of the year. And I still remember pinching myself being in the main display hangar at the Temora Aviation Museum, surrounded by these absolutely rare and priceless examples of these aircraft. Listening to Doc Neeson smack out a couple of tunes. And we're sipping a few of Dave's free drinks.
There you go. That's
Might have loaded up. Might have had a couple too many, but had a fat time.
That's what it's all about. Now, just as we wind up, because I always like to make sure we get all of our comments out, because we do value you guys that
100%.
Watch, but also participate, because realistically, it helps feed the narrative and it feeds the dream. And if you do like the program, share it with your friends, share it with whoever you're brave enough to share it to. The days of ducking and weaving and dodging these fuckers, from my personal perspective, are well and truly over. Not that I've ever done much ducking and dodging, but for you guys who are starting to come out of the woodwork and be brave, I applaud you. I think you're champions. So, Mark, as pointed out, sounds like a long service leave double dip. Getting paid for long service leave and being paid for consultancy advice, 100%, Mark.
Yeah, but not delivering the consultancy advice. That's the point. Being paid not to deliver.
To do fuck all, yes. Michelle Cook. Now, Michelle is based over in the Weden Shire. I believe she was a councillor one year, and she sort of suffered a fair amount of bullshit and nonsense.
You might have copped a fair few codes of conduct.
And I have a fair, and we didn't get to touch on it tonight, and we do need to sit down. There is a councillor over there who seems to have an inability to keep his dick in his pants, and then somehow you're in trouble, but this guy is free to roam free and work in the mental health space.
Well, I think his charges were that he might have inappropriately touched some males at the hotel one night, but he might have had a few too many drinks.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. We'll delve into that a different night.
We need to get the detail. That's
absolutely, and you know, and we just need to have more time, because if we're going to go down that rabbit hole tonight, we're going to be here till midnight.
No.
But council sets the structure of the organisation. General manager has the power to employ those staff. That could be the reason for the additional clauses, to allow for a change in the organisational structure without a council resolution. I reckon there's a fair element of, that manoeuvring within that space. Nepotism, it is the same thing, a lot of that for sure. And then Daniel, my grandpa, was the youngest airboat in Poland before flying Spitfires for the British, and was a D-Day flyer. I don't know if your grandfather's still alive, Daniel, but I imagine if he's looking at the state of the UK in recent times.
I don't know whether he's still going, but I'm telling you, that
wouldn't be real fucking happy, I wouldn't imagine.
That's what it's all about. I'm telling you, these people really risked the whole lot to give us the lifestyle that people want to give away for nothing. And
effectively, we're giving it away for nothing to scumbags who hate us, and I'm fucked if I'm going to stand for it without something to say about it, something to do about it, and we'll do our little bit to the best of our ability. But so, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next Thursday night, back to a regular time, 7:30, unless something pops up, because we do actually have lives. Nobody pays us for this shit.
Well, I actually had to go to a meeting at Area Park that was a presentation on a subdivision that council are proposing at Area Park. So I was actually doing a council job, and that's why we're a little bit late tonight. But
anyway. And look, and that's cool. We've got lives. There'll be the occasional time throughout the year where I might fly solo, or Councillor Irvine will fly solo, or we'll get put up a little thing saying, "Sorry guys, see you next week." Again, there's no the sponsors. The sponsors
this time next year you'll be calling me member.
The member could well be. Member. You know, look the.
I wonder if I'll unseat Steph.
Fuck, that could be funny. I think Steph's one of the great triers in Parliament, but I also, I've got no problem with seeing you get a job in there either.
I'd rather.
But Polish planes were the hardest craft to fly, and jumping into Spitfire was like going from a go-go mobile to a Ferrari.
I'd reckon.
I reckon so. But look, the sponsors of the show are Councillor Irvine's Business Irvine Signs and Pro Feral Pest Management, i.e. him.
Blue Tongue Audio Production.
Blue Tongue, is that what we call it? Yeah, rightio. And obviously my enterprises. So, we don't have...
Some of the people have said I've got a bit of a blue tongue.
Mate, the reality for those of you new to the program is we're not owned by anybody. We put everything on the table and we do this for, off our own bat.
Yeah, and would you believe?
And at our own risk, I might admit.
But YouTube, I don't think YouTube have ever. YouTube haven't intervened. They haven't censored. They haven't.
No, YouTube, Facebook Live, that's all fine.
Every single show that we've ever recorded, every word that we've ever said is still up there in them.
As far as I can tell, look, I mean, if they've pulled any of them down, I think they pull the reels down after a period of time, or a live stream after a period of time on Facebook or whatever. I don't know. I don't spend much time going back through the archives or whatever. We roll it out and we roll it out and we roll it out. But we do appreciate you guys who tune in every week. We appreciate you newly tuning in. We appreciate when you comment, share, like. The comments do help. One, it helps the conversation flow. It does give other perspectives, opens eyes, opens somebody else in the audience eyes to see that it's okay to say what you really think. And that's a big part of what this is all about.
We need help. We need help to keep this stuff going, and we need support in our businesses, and we need to just know. It's really nice for people just to come up to you in the street and say, look, we really appreciate what you're doing. Keep at it.
That's it. I'm Pete Rothwell. Thanks, mate. Pete's the Mayor of Mendooran.
Yeah.
I imagine he'll be out there raising positive hell.
Yes.
Out in the Dubbo electorate all the time in the world for Pete. I think he's kicking a few goals. Facebook's been cutting the sound out tonight. In all honesty, Belinda, because we are actually in a bit of a cave here, we're not quite sure how much of that's Facebook versus we've tried to actually cut the, what did you call it earlier, the bandwidth of the price of rice or something.
No, we just cut the resolution of the video to try and cut down on how much of the demand of the internet capability. So we're just trying to make it as efficient as we can due to shortcomings in our
internet service. They can put man on the moon, but fuck getting internet and tomorrow it's a hard job.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope everyone has a great night. Look, we look forward to seeing all you guys next week. Obviously, you can still follow Councillor Irvine on Anthony Irvine's Stand Up for Temora page. It is there, and obviously the more the merrier. And then you've obviously got my various platforms. Most of you sort of know where to find me, and if you don't, well, go do some research. I'm easy to find. Easiest bloke in Australia to find. Hope everyone has a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.